I guess it's recording. Yeah, so it's recording right now, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, okay, it's recording. All right, so what was this video about? Oh, yes. A lot of people are always asking me, what's the origin of life? And I'm like, too busy to really explain this. And it's really kind of like, who cares? Because it doesn't really pay my rent. But I thought I'd just make this video so people stop asking me. And another reason I don't really explain it is because people really don't understand it, right? They're too busy looking for a scientific explanation. But I'll just go ahead and explain it. I don't really care if anybody understands it. I might leave out some things or explanations, but here we go. But before I do, let me explain a few other things. All right, so this is the Earth. See a little circle there? Of course, we know the Earth isn't actually circular, but practically speaking, it's circular. And this is the North Pole. Look at that, North Pole. And this is the South Pole. So most people generally understand this, right? And then the center is supposed to be iron, right? So it's kind of like a motor. So you have this electromagnetic force, right? So it's like an apple, actually, right? So you get this North Pole, South Pole thing going on, right? Oh, so like this. Goes this direction, goes this, right? Right? So this electromagnetic force, right? Everyone really can't see it or perceive it. They know it's there because when you have a compass, right? North, south, or compass, and you point it, it always goes to north because it's sensitive enough to the magnetic field, so it goes there, right? So what has this got to do with the origin of life? Well, it doesn't really have a whole lot, although it has a whole lot actually, but practically speaking, the reason why I mention this is because this is a force, you could say like gravity, that we don't regularly see, but we kind of know it's there, right? So you have to understand that this force is only one force. There's many other forces interacting on the Earth that you cannot see or perceive that are even more ghost-like than electromagnetic force. So very few people will disagree with me that there's this electromagnetic force. So I chose that as an example. All right, now, so what other forces are there? Well, you have the Earth, right? And it's created from the heavens, right? So we have all this, right? We don't see this, but it's there, and it's pushing on the Earth downward. Then we have another force, because the Earth is spinning, right? And it's throwing things off the Earth, this direction. Right? So you could just say, practically speaking, is going upwards. Right? So the force going downwards, and there's a force going upwards. Right? So gee gosh, every once in a while they might actually hit each other. Boom! Right? And so when this force going downwards, let's go over here, and the force going downwards, and the force going upwards. This is generally 7 times stronger than this force. It hits it and it collides and it shoots off like this, like a spiral. So you have many other forces coming in different directions, many different spirals is forming. Anyway, let's go back really far back in time, like, I don't know, a couple of billion years. Let's say maybe 3 or 4 billion years. The Earth was much different than it is today, temperature-wise, atmosphere-wise, land-wise, water-wise, everything like that. So what we want to talk about is the origin of life. I'm not going to get into the evolution. Darwin had a nice idea, but it's really false. But I'm going to get into the actual moment of creation of life. And from there is a starting point to where you can extrapolate the rest. So you have to have understanding of the electromagnetic force, right? And that there's other forces that science can't see, right? They have DNA, they have RNA, right? They have acids and proteins, but they don't explain where does DNA come from, where does RNA come from. So they had no answers. So let's explain a little bit about that. So you have, well, this is, you could say it's microscopically, you could say it's a little bit larger than that. And I'm not gonna, let's just stipulate that this is over a period of millions of years, right? So it doesn't happen like overnight. And it happens in such a way that it's very subtle, all right? But so when I draw it and explain it, it's not gonna be subtle, it's gonna be like bam. But if I could draw slowly over a period of a million years, then maybe it'd be more understandable. But it's not practical for me to sit here and draw that slowly over a period of a million years. So this energy that's going up from the Earth is sort of happening like that. And this energy coming down is sort of happening like that. So it collides. And it collides depending on the ratio of energy, depending on where it's at, either a mountain in the ocean and such, will affect that. There are many other things interacting, other energies interacting. But I'm being very general here. So it combines here. And it's like that. But this will go away. It'll like come and then go. But since the Earth and the forces are constant, it's constantly being created. So you have this, then it goes away, then you have another one colliding and comes and goes away. When this force comes, it's happening all over the Earth. So this, you could say you could have the Earth like this, and then you have these little energy vortex, billions of them all over the Earth. So when this collides, it goes away. This could be on a microscopic level, very sensitive, very small pieces of energy just colliding. It's just energy. That's all it is. Just forces like gravitational, electromagnetic forces. There's really no physicalness to it, no physicality to it. There's just like waves of energy. And so you have another one here, and also collides and creates a wave of energy. Well, this wave of energy may actually interact with this wave of energy, creating a new wave of energy. Also, so what happens is these will come and go, but they're constantly going, thousands, they're coming and going really high speed. But over time, because these are constant, you got the ground, right? You got the sky, you got this energy. This energy starts to form like a pattern, okay? Sort of like, here, let's go back over here to electromagnetic. Everyone knows that if you take a magnet, positive magnet, and then you take another magnet, negative magnet, and you put them next to each other, there's this electromagnetic field that forms. How do I draw that? Like this. Okay? And then everyone knows if you take iron dust, like little particles of dust, and you throw it on there, it'll collect on, and you'll actually see those patterns, electromagnetic fields. Okay? Right? So it's not very solid, but there's energy there, and you basically had a matter of iron collecting around that field. So let's go back over here. So the same thing, you have this constant field of energy, and you have inorganic material, and through time, a lot of time, it gradually builds. And as this becomes from a ghost-like energy to a more solid-like energy, what's created from that is also slightly more solid-like. They're not all the same. Some energy forms are large, some areas are a little bit, charges a little bit stronger and a little smaller. When these large forces of energy interact with a little bit of energy, it may give this more energy or absorb this. Okay? Then this, over much time, gathers more force. The inorganic substances kind of build up along this and start to fill it in. This force is still here, keeps forming, and next thing you know, you have maybe something that looks like a flower or a tree. Not quite, this is like really long, I'm skipping a lot, but the basic premise is like that. Maybe this is, but you have to have plant and animal. So this is, you have the two. They consume each other. A lot of fish, they don't really eat plants, they just kind of eat each other. Energy, when you think of a fish with a mouth, you think it's eating this other little fish, right? But actually what's happening is this energy is being absorbed by this larger energy mass. It's just, energy is changing. You can call that eating if you like. So that's basically how it formed. So DNA is in here, RNA, these simply nucleic acids, but really what's keeping them together is this energy field. If you want to know the blueprint or the basic building block of life, it's just these energy magnetic fields. You have other energies interacting from different directions. The most obvious one is heaven and earth, but there's others in the way they collide and interact with each other. And they may form, in this case, it'll form a very simple life with a little bit of, it's all a little spiral. And then from there, the very creation and existence of this life interacts with other life, which creates a new kind of energy, and then it continues to interact upon each other. So once the origin is created, then it manifests more and more from each other. You could say it multiplies. So I didn't explain it as well as it should be explained or could be explained, but generally speaking, in the human being, in the womb, so this is very tiny, very beginning, in the womb, you also have this spirals going on. So you have this spiral going on, and the heavy things go to the outside, right? And that forms the bones and the skeleton, or the vertebrae, the back, and the soft things are on the inside. So you have the organs. Some force is strong enough to where on spirals it becomes very dense, and therefore you have your solid organs. Another force is not quite as strong, and so you have your hollow organs. So that's just a generally speaking, you could take that to the microscopic level of simple life, and it works similarly in the same way. So this energy is constant, and it forms a pattern. It's a gravitational force going, not gravitational force, but this heaven's force going down and Earth's force going up were a different proportion, then life would be born proportionally different and human beings would be born differently. So this is just a very beginning, very simple life, and that's how it goes from there. Now to explain, as Earth changes in temperature, gets colder, hotter, closer to in front of the sun, radiation coming and going, all these kind of things, they affect this. And this is very sensitive to that because it's such a small level of development. We are also sensitive to it, but not so much because we're so much more complex. Anyway, I hope that gives you an idea how it started. And of course, these forces are well known, but not to science. And you can see these forces if you look at your head. The top of your head, the hair spirals like that. If you look at your fingerprints, there's spiral like that. So the energy is still there. It's much more complex than in the simplest form. So to make this as simple as possible, you cannot include the creation of DNA, RNA, or manipulation of atomic or molecular forces without including these forces, which are the blueprint behind it. It's impossible for these to know how to structure themselves without some pattern. And all they're really doing is, just like iron dust, are just following a pattern that's created by energetic forces that today we typically aren't visible or measurable, but you can comprehend it, which is what I just did for you. So if you have any questions, please comment on the YouTube video. It's all very self-explanatory and very understandable. All right, thank you very much.